Welcome to the Program Design Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Monique, teacher and curriculum writer turned program mentor and business strategist for coaches, educators, and online experts. Whether you're looking to create your first ever group coaching program or scale your current offer for more freedom, revenue, and consistent income, this is the podcast for you. Here you'll find practical strategies and encouragement mixed with a bit of manifestation and intuition to help you grow and design a program you absolutely love. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Program Design Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Monique, and in this episode, we are going to be talking about delivery systems specifically for your group program or your signature program so that you can bring in more people without sacrificing a quality client experience, while making sure that everyone feels supported and without adding too much to the mental load that you likely already have as an online business owner. So this is part 2 of a series of 2. And last week we dove into delivery systems, but we looked specifically at delivery systems for your one-on-ones. And the reason I wanted to start there is because I know from working with clients is oftentimes when you go to create a program, one of the challenges that I don't think we speak about enough is that if you're maxed out with one-to-ones and then you go to create a group program, there's a lag time before you have more freedom in your schedule because you're still serving your one-to-one clients and you are adding in the creation and launching of your group program that might one day become your signature program. And so it can feel like a lot. And what most people do is they just add in or try to add in or squeeze in more time into their day. But I recommend actually looking at your processes for how you're running your one-to-ones to see if you can save any time. I've helped people save 5 to 10 hours a week plus without actually hiring any team, just by adding some systems into their delivery. And so if that's you and you're currently working with one-to-ones, I would recommend listening to that episode either after this one, or you can even listen to it first. And that will really help you think about how you are setting up your one-to-ones to be more streamlined to make space for growing a group program or for creating your first group program. In this episode, though, we are going to be looking at how to look at systems to actually deliver your group program or what you might call your signature program. We're going to be looking at what you need to make your program more scalable, because I think oftentimes we think a lot about scaling our program, like the marketing, the offers, getting in front of more people, launches, all of that kind of stuff, visibility, growing your audience, all that kind of thing. But then when you actually have more clients, do you have the capacity, both energetically and logistically, to actually take on more clients? Because if there's a part of you that feels like your clients won't get the experience that you want for them when you go to scale, you're either going to hold yourself back, either consciously or subconsciously hold yourself back from bringing in more clients because you're going to be afraid that you're not going to do a good enough job for them. Or you might bring in more clients and then really feel like you're scrambling, you've taken on too much, and then you might not want to launch again later. So I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to bring in more people in your program, but I also want you to feel like you're really doing a quality, like you're really creating a quality program for them. Because I know if you are like most people listening to this podcast, creating something that's really quality, that really helps people is very important to you. It's not just about selling a bunch of online courses to make money. You truly want to help people and you want them to have a really great experience with you. And delivery systems will help you do just that. So we're going to dive in, but just so that we're clear, before I dive into some examples, sometimes people tell me, and this is part of the reason that I didn't specialize in systems, even though it is one of my zones of genius, one of my specialties, is because oftentimes when people hear the word systems, they think automations or they think tech platforms. And I'm not the one who's going to be like setting up specific tech automations for you. My real love is program design, but I look at systems holistically. To me, that is a tech platform. A delivery system in its simplest form, and I'm going to repeat this a couple of times, a system really is a set of predetermined decisions for repetitive tasks. A set of predetermined decisions for repetitive tasks. As your business grows, you're going to have more and more repetitive tasks that happen in your business. When you are first starting your business or you're first starting your group program, you're starting a bunch of new things. It's the exciting phase. But as you're running your group program, there's going to be a lot of things that happen in a repetitive way, or they should happen in a repetitive way. If you're starting from scratch all the time, that is one reason that you're not scaling. So you want to be doing things regularly, repetitively. And the more you can create a system for those repetitive tasks, the simpler it's going to be. Because really what we want to look at, if you look at that idea of a set of predetermined decisions for repetitive tasks, it's that we're deciding once how you're going to create or how you're going to deliver something, and then you set it and not forget it, but it's done. It's a process that's already in place. And the thing that I love about that is it takes the mental load out of your mind and into a process, a routine, an automation. And to be able to make more space, to have more capacity to bring in more people, you can't just have everything in your mind. You need to have systems supporting you, be them routines, automations, processes, things with your team, SOPs. Like you need to have things in place, structure in place, because you're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to remember it all and things are going to fall through the cracks, or you're not going to be able to spend the time on the things that are going to grow your business because you're going to be spending so much time in these little more minute, like the minutia of running a business. And instead, we want to create those delivery systems so that you can free yourself up to spend more time in the bigger picture things and less time in those repetitive tasks. So really, it's deciding once this is how I'm going to tackle this repetitive task. And before we dive into what that looks like, one visual that I once heard a mentor share that I really, really liked when you think about growing your business is that a lot of us as entrepreneurs like to create new things, myself included. I love creating new things. Just the other month, I thought, I really wanted to create a smaller offer, like a more entry offer to working with me. And I got so excited at the idea of creating pilot program design. So pilot program design is my first kind of step to working with me before you join signature program design. And this is for people who have never run a program before and are creating their first ever program. And so I created that last month and it was so exciting. But really, when we're creating new exciting things, that's not the thing that makes you more money in your business consistently. It's having things that you're doing regularly. And what my mentor shared is this visual of a train track. So if you imagine like a toy train, and my kids still have them, even though they're 5 and 8, we still technically do have our train tracks. They don't play with them as much as they did when they were younger. But if you think about a toy train track, in theory, you build it and it's going again and again throughout the same kind of track, and it goes around in a circle. And every station could be a launch or the thing that you do over and over again. So the way that you're improving your programs is, yes, you can create your pilot or your first ever round, but it becomes your signature over time because you're refining it and doing it over and over and over again. And as you do it over and over again, you're going to have repetitive tasks that you want to systematize and streamline so you can improve your delivery over time. The same thing is true with your launches, with your renewals. You want to have a process in place so that regularly you're doing the same thing over and over again. So your business becomes more predictable, so that your revenue becomes more predictable. So you know that this is how you bring in clients regularly. This is how you're growing your program. This is how you're renewing people. You're not making things up all the time. You have a process to follow. And that's when it really feels like a business and not just a new program you've started or a new project you've started as an entrepreneur, right? That idea of creating that train station or that train loop, and the stations are the things that you come back and visit regularly. And you need a system for those things. So we're going to look at, in this episode, onboarding, how to think about onboarding your clients, because there's a lot of systems that need to happen, getting your clients adjusted and ready in your program, delivery systems, because every deliverable needs a system. And what I mean by deliverable is like everything that you deliver in your programs, Zoom calls, like a portal, like community chats, anything like Voxer support, anything that you provide in your program that's a deliverable, and every deliverable needs a system. And also, one of the most overlooked systems that is going to be costing you money and referrals is how you deal with your offboarding and your renewals. So that's what we're diving into in this week's episode. So the first thing to look at, of course, is how you're going to onboard new clients. And even if you're newer and maybe you're thinking about running your program or you've been running it for a while, this alone can energetically trip you up from bringing in more people. Because I've seen people who say like, okay, I've literally had clients who have said like, oh, I have 20 people who are ready to who are interested in learning about my program. They know how much it costs. They're interested. And then I'm like, so go and speak to those people. But they're like, I don't have a way for them I don't have anything for them to join yet. I don't have any way for them to pay me. And I was like, this is energetically a problem for you to accept money from the universe. You need to have a way for people to pay you. And so you want to make it a really clear process so that when someone says, I want to sign up for your program, you're like, fantastic. Here's how you get them all set up from the time they say, I want to join your program to them being in your first Zoom call. Everything is laid out for them so they have a clear path and they feel really supported in your program. And you're not trying to remember everything that they need. It's all set up and it's a very smooth process. That's the ideal. It might take you a while to get there, of course, but there are some main things to think about when you're thinking about your onboarding. So when I think about onboarding, I think a lot of us start manually, which is fine. But if you think if I'd had 20 new people join my program this month, I had 100 new people join my program this month, this might be when you're thinking about like, oh, some of the manual things that I'm doing right now, I couldn't do them regularly. The other thing to think about too is when you onboard someone, we live in the online space in a very instant gratification kind of place. And so when people buy from you, you don't want them to have this instant regret of like, did that go through? Did my money just disappear into the abyss? Like I'm not getting anything back. Like how do I log into the course? You don't want them to feel like this sense of panic that they've just spent money on something that's not going to give them a return. You want automated like confirmation and reassurance that they've made the right choice. So that's the idea with onboarding systems is for me, whenever I create a system, I think like, what matters about this? Why am I creating a system for it? And for me, an onboarding system is really the number one goal for me of an onboarding system is so that my clients feel very supported. And some of my clients would say they feel held. That's not my wording. I wouldn't say maybe supported, but they have a clear process to follow so they know exactly what's coming up next, right? So I'm going to give you some examples that you can think about when you are looking at creating your onboarding process. So let's look at my main program, which is Signature Program Design. A Signature Program Design helps you take a group program and really make it your signature, refine it so it's a really quality experience. It's your signature process. It's your unique program and helps you really. So it's refining and scaling your signature program. And to me, having a signature program is the hands down number one way to really grow your revenue in a way that's consistent, in a way that's predictable, while creating fantastic transformations for your clients, right? So that's what I do in Signature Program Design. So when someone joins me, I'm going to give you some examples of what we do as part of our onboarding process so you can start to think about what you can do for your program as well. So the first thing is people find out about my program and they might be interested in joining me. I, at the time of recording, don't take anyone into the program just by having them purchase off a sales page. They always have to speak to me first. The reason I do that is because I want people to know that I only accept people into the program that I absolutely know I can help. Like my satisfaction guarantee is I want to make sure that I can absolutely back it up. And so I speak to every person that joins Signature Program Design because I want to make sure that I talk to you and know, yes, I can absolutely support you. So from there, people will say they'll chat with me and they'll say, yes, I'm in. They want to join. So this is when my onboarding process starts. So the first thing that we do is I make sure that they have a checkout link in their own currency. At the time of recording, I have American and Canadian clients because I am Canadian. So I give it to them in their currency. And then once they sign up, a few automations happen right away. they sign up through Kajabi, through my portal. You do not need to use Kajabi. I use Kajabi, but I've used other programs and other portals before. They sign up through Kajabi, and Kajabi sends them an automatic receipt, and sends them their login information so they can access the course portal. The other thing is I've set up an automated trigger so that it connects into my Kit account. And you can do this directly through Kajabi, but I want them to be part of my Kit account so they can get my weekly emails. So then they get a welcome email that's sent out right away or moments afterwards. And that is my personalized welcome email. That's where all the important links are. That's where they can add the calls to their calendars. That's where they can book one-on-one calls with me if they've signed up for my VIP options. That's where they can find out if anything is going wrong, who they can contact. It's like a master link list. So when they get confused or like, how do I log in again? That's a question that can come up a lot. What's my login information? Where's the Zoom link? All of that is in that master email. So people say to me like, Lauren, I get so many emails from you, because if you've been in any of my promotions, you've probably gotten an email from like a number of emails from me, right? So I want them to be able to like not have to sift through things. They can find that welcome email with all of the links listed there right away. And so they can log in. The other thing that we do, because I want my program to be higher touch, if before I had this, like when I was working with teachers and I had a lower ticket offer, I wouldn't have done this step. But because my program's a little bit more personalized, I want it to feel a little bit more bespoke. I also have my client success manager send an email. It's a template, but she introduces herself so that you know her, that you know you can reach out to her about scheduling one-on-one calls, about if you're stuck with anything, if you have any technical issues, anything like that, trouble accessing our Telegram group, all that kind of stuff. You can contact Laura, our client success manager, and she contacts you right away. So you have that as well. The other thing here that happens automatically is that I've made sure that Kajabi sends Laura and I a notification when somebody buys so that I know I have a client joining us, and Laura knows to send them an email. So those are some of the automations that happen right away, or the things that happen right away as soon as someone is given access to the course platform. The other part of our onboarding is that when you access the course is I have a start here section. So all the logistics are in the start here. My welcome video is there. I talk about how to make the most of the program, how to start setting you up with your vision, goal setting, like making momentum right away, so that you're already feeling like you're part of it and you're already feeling like, okay, I'm really excited to join this. I don't know about you, but I've definitely joined programs before where I've signed up for something and I get a receipt and that's it. So it's like, yeah, great, I have this receipt for this thing, but I don't know, like, when are they going to contact me? When are the group calls? Like, what can I expect? You want to think about in your onboarding, what are the questions that you get asked? What are some of the fears that people have? And how can you make it feel really supportive, like they have everything that they need going into the program right away, like immediately, automatically? Does that make sense? We have so many little systems that go into our onboarding, but another one that we use is Add Event. So you can add the calls directly to your calendar so you know you won't miss a group call, for example. Another little problem that we had was that we used Telegram for group calls and people were struggling to join Telegram. Some people accessed it right away, other people didn't. So we created a step-by-step guide to joining Telegram. So then in our welcome email, if you're struggling to access Telegram, instead of us trying to help you all the time, you can just click on the how-to guide and it'll show you how to access the group. So does that make sense? Those are some of the automatic systems that we have in place when someone joins. It's not extensive. We have many and they have been created over time. But the goal is that I want people to feel supported immediately as soon as they join my program. I want them to know who to contact, how to log in. They have everything to get started. And that was my number one goal. And then I also started looking at what were the main questions, the main issues we were getting over and over again, and can we refine and improve our system from there? So that was, for example, when we got the Telegram. We've been using Telegram for a few months now. And one of the main issues, again, like I was saying, is that people couldn't log into Telegram. They were having issues accessing the group. So we made that step-by-step guide. And I have not had one single person struggle to access Telegram since we created that guide. with like literally screenshots. So that was a really easy system to add into our onboarding processes so that people are very supported as soon as they join. So those are some of the things to think about when you're thinking about your onboarding process. Now, that is one of the more complicated things, but when you think about how you're delivering your program, it's great to have delivery systems as well. And we started to touch on that for our onboarding. So when you think about how people progress during your program or what deliverables you have, you want to make sure that you have a system or a process in place to make sure you can deliver each and every one of them. Think about the deliverables. You can even pause this podcast as you listen. What are your deliverables in your program, or what are the deliverables you're thinking of including? And how are you going to make sure that every member can easily access those things without you having to be the one doing it with them? So, for example, Zoom calls. How are they going to access the group calls? How are they going to know if you make any updates? How are they going to access the group community? How are they going to make one-on-one calls with you? Who do they contact if they need support or if they have a question? How are you going to handle questions and hot seat coaching calls? These are all different deliverables in my program, and I have a system for each one of them. So I'll give you one example of how I deliver our program, signature program design and pilot program design is quite similar. So one deliverable or delivery system that I have for ongoing support is that each and every Monday, part of my routines each week is that I record a podcast on Monday. So it is Monday and I'm recording this week's podcast so that will go out on Thursday. Again, with that idea of like those repetitive tasks, I always record a podcast. So now it goes out I record them generally speaking on a Monday. And my client emails that I have for my current clients go out on a Monday as well. Usually I've written those the week prior, but sometimes I'm writing them on a Monday. And so I have a template that I follow that each week, if you're a member of one of my programs, you'll get an email from me and it will say things like what we have coming on. If you want to ask a question, here is the link to submit your question in advance. Here's the link to join the calls. Here's the link to add them to your calendar if you haven't yet. And this is what we're focusing on this week. If I have an outline that we're following, like a step-by-step process, like in signature program design, it's a little bit more open because the support is for longer. And there's a little bit more flexibility to it. So I'll share, this is what we're doing this month. And okay, on this Tuesday, we're doing this. On this Tuesday, we're doing this, etc. Any bonus calls we have coming up is in that weekly letter. But like in pilot program design, which is very step-by-step, week 1, we do this. Week 2, we do this. Week 3, we do this. In that email, I also have my program outline in that email. So you can follow along to see where we are in our process, the step-by-step process to creating your first group program. So that is one of my delivery systems, is that I always have a weekly email that goes out. And so any new information, anything that comes up is in there. They can access absolutely everything from that email. I don't send out like, hey, here's your link email, like here's the link to sign up for our call right before. Personally, I don't do that, but we do send as soon as the replay is up. Laura from My Client Success, she uploads the replay. Once that's done, she sends it out to the group. And that's another email that they usually get on Thursdays for signature program design and pilot program design. So that's an example of when you think about the deliverables, delivery systems, one example of a system to make sure that people are really getting what they need throughout. The last thing to look at are how are you doing your renewals and your offboarding. So I don't know about you, but I've been in programs where I felt like my coach and the community really knows me. I've shared so much, and then I leave the program and it's just like nothing. I get no email. There's no contact from the coach. And it just feels like all of a sudden I'm just out of their world and I don't matter to them anymore because I'm not paying them. It's really like not a great feeling. So that is the opposite of how I want my clients to feel. I want my clients to feel very valued, regardless if they decide to stay with me for 4 months or years. I want them to feel very valued and for them to really feel seen and known in the program. So I have my own system to make sure that people, know when their support is ending. That was a big one in signature program design because we do monthly cohorts and it's more rolling. People weren't sure when their time was ending. So I needed to add in a system for that so that they know, okay, the time is ending and we're going to have Like this is when your support is up until. So we have emails to make sure that they feel supported throughout, that they know when the end of their program is going to be. Are they going to renew or not? And I make sure to make it personalized. I'm not going to share everything that I do for offboarding because it's my little surprise that I like to do at the end. But I want to make sure that people feel very seen and appreciated for their time in the program when they leave programs with me as well. Let's talk about renewals, because one thing that I don't think I really thought much about when I first started creating programs was the power of renewals. I thought create a program, run it once, and then launch it again, launch it again, launch it again. But there is so much power of having renewals, having people be able to continue working with you, because it's much easier to work with a client who's already paid you, right? Like they already trust you. They've already worked with you. They've already had success with you. The likelihood of them continuing to work with you is higher. And also, they are going to have way better results from you because they can work with you for a longer period of time, right? So I love renewals if you set up your program so that you can have renewals. But I also have systems for renewals that I'm not just thinking about them at the end. So this is the idea, the final idea that I want to leave you with for systems. For delivery systems is when you think about your renewals should not be an afterthought that you think about at the end. They should be something that you think about if you care about renewals and renewals are important to you, that you're thinking about throughout your whole process through the support that you have. So for example, in signature program design, we have 4 months of support and then people can renew after that. And I don't know what our renewal rate is offhand, but it's quite high. I want to put it at around 75%. Maybe 80%. We've had a lot of renewals recently. And so what my process looks like is that first off, at the beginning, when you join, people are often wondering like, can I still work with you? Can I still get support after the 4 months? So I already say up front, you get 4 months of support right off the bat, but you have the option to continue working with us later. So they know right off the bat that this is how it's going to roll. They'll come into the program and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this person's so far ahead of me. Well, that's because she's been in the program for a year. You know what I mean? So that's part of our discussions, is that they know renewals is just part of my process. And it's not something they're surprised by or put off by at the end. It's something they've always been thinking about, like, am I going to renew or not at the end of my 4 months? Then around 3/4 or 2/3 of the way through, I like to do something special and unique for the people who are up for renewals. I won't share what that looks like because it's my own little like surprise that I like to add, because I always like to under promise and over deliver, or surprise and delight when people join my program. But I have a little extra that I offer for people who are coming up to renewals, so they have a really fantastic experience. And then I share about their renewals, and then they can decide like a month or a month and a half later if they're going to renew with me. So it's like, it's ongoing part of the way that I work through the program. And so at the end, it's just like, do I want to renew or not? And like, they can see what they can get later if they renew. Like I have a whole process, questions to go through to make sure that people feel really supported. And renewing isn't like pushing sales. It's more like, let's look at your progress. Let's see how far you come. And let me show you what we can do next to support you going forward. It's like this, like it's still coaching to me, right? Let's just recap that, is when you're thinking about renewals, it's not the end of the program. I've had some forethought and ways that I work through renewals all throughout. So then when people come up for renewals, they're already ready to renew. Hey, by the way, at the end, like when I used to run my teacher program, when I first started doing renewals, I just did it at the end and people didn't even know they could renew. And then some people did and some people didn't. And it didn't feel great, right? It felt really uncomfortable. But when you do it like this, it just feels like this natural next step. So let's recap some of the deliverables to think about. If you were to suddenly grow your program, what would you need to have in place to make sure everyone is still feeling supported? And before I recap, the one thing I want to point out here is that the more you set up automations, processes, routines, that templates like this, the more you have freedom in your day to add little personalized touches. That's why sometimes people ask me, like, how can you be in Telegram every day? Like, that would be too much for me. And it's honestly not that much for me because I have so many of these other things automated. I can leave you personalized voice notes in Telegram when you ask me a question because all of these other things are systematized in the background. So to me, the more systemized you get, the more you can add in those little personalized details that make people feel very seen and supported. So let's recap the delivery systems. So remember, systems are not just tech platforms. That can be a tool as part of your system, but a system is really a predetermined set of decisions for repetitive tasks. You want to have those repetitive tasks in your business. That's how you grow, right? Is when you're improving, optimizing over time. So we looked at onboarding new clients, little automations and things that you can add in so people don't have that feeling of regret after they've purchased from you. They already feel very supported, like they've made the right choice and they are excited about what they have coming up as they work with you. We talked about delivery systems as people progress, and that every deliverable that you offer needs to have a system to actually make it happen, because otherwise you're going to have things like, oh my gosh, right, I have a replay. How am I going to make sure that people get it if they miss the call? You need a system for that. Every little piece that you offer should have a system that you don't have to worry about it. Like when I finish my calls, I always like to do bonus calls, my regular coaching calls. I never worry that people are going to get the replay or that they're not going to have access to it because I've already got a system in place. As soon as I'm done, like it's out of my mind, I can focus on something else because it's happening behind the scenes. And then the last piece to think about is renewals and offboarding. Offboarding, creating a really positive experience for your clients so they still feel very supported and that they want to refer their friends to you because they had such a great experience with you. And then you want to think about renewals throughout your program. So then when it comes to renewal time, people aren't blindsided by it. They're expecting it, and it's a no-brainer for them to continue support and working with you. So I hope that this was helpful. I would love to hear it if it was. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a little while and you've been thinking about working with me, I've mentioned both of them in this episode, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew what the options were to work with me coming into 2026. So the first one is if you are creating your first ever group program, I have pilot program design, and that helps you create your first pilot round. Step by step, we go together. It is very piece by piece for people who have never ever done it before. And we are going to be starting in January, but I already have people who have pre-registered. So I'm going to be doing some bonus trainings, bonus content about setting up your goals and visions, getting you really excited and in the right mindset and headspace for 2026. We're going to be doing a bonus call for that new cohort. So if you are interested in pilot program design, definitely send me a message because we are already pre-selling those spots for 2026. You'll get that price point as well. The other thing to look at is signature program design. And so signature program design is my next level program. And that's for people who have already run a program of some sort or are currently running a program. And you want to refine it, make it your signature and scale it. If you like this call, this is what we're talking about, like delivery systems, improving how your actual curriculum, your content, your whole experience. So it's a really quality experience for your clients, your signature processes. We're looking at how to actually scale. So your messaging, your marketing, your repeated sales strategies to bring in clients regularly. So it's really designed to help you refine and scale to create that signature program for yourself. So if either of those offers sound like what you need in 2026, definitely send me a message on Instagram. My handle is laurenmonique.business on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you on next week's episode of the Program Design Podcast.